And now it is my pleasure to present to you the Santos Limited Narrabri Gas Project. Santos's Narrabri Gas Project has the potential to supply up to 200 terajoules of natural gas per day, which is sufficient gas to meet half of New South Wales' natural gas demand. All of the gas produced from the Narrabri Gas Project will be made available for the New South Wales market to optimise the opportunities for the use of gas as a source of energy, including via high-pressure gas transmission pipeline. In addition to the provision of energy to the state, the project will create approximately 1,300 jobs during the initial construction phase and around 200 direct and indirect jobs throughout the operational phase. So please join me in welcoming Narrabri Gas Project Manager Todd Dunn to the main stage. Todd?
Thank you very much, Nicola. I'll just share my screen. Hopefully that has come through. So, yeah, Nicola,
see your screen, Todd.
Perfect. So thank you very much for having me here today, Nicola, and thanks for those attending the session. So my name's Todd Dunn, so I'm the Project Manager for the Narrabri Gas Project. Just to begin with, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the country in which we meet today. For me here in Narrabri, that's the Gomeroi Nation, and recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like just to pass on my thanks to Kieran and the team for arranging today's conference, which is it's a fantastic opportunity to connect people across a variety of industries, and without the support of Kieran and the team and the sponsors and so forth, arranging events like this just wouldn't be possible. So today I'm going to present on the Narrabri Gas Project. So I'll give a bit of a background on Santos and what we do. I'll provide an overview of the Narrabri Gas Project in relation to the approvals process, a bit of a project overview and proposed timelines that go with that. We'll then look to touch on some of the procurement processes, our commitments as a company, what it means to actually work with Santos, and the steps to register interest in the project. So a bit about Santos. So Santos was established in 1954 in South Australia. For those that aren't aware, Santos is an acronym for South Australia and Northern Territory Oil Search. 2019 was our 50th anniversary for Santos supplying natural gas to South Australia homes and businesses, and the 65th anniversary of Santos as a company. So as you can see, Santos is a proud Australian company and already Australia's biggest domestic gas supplier and a leading Asian Pacific LNG supplier. Our strategy is centred around 5 core long-life natural gas and LNG assets with the business positioned for growth across our entire portfolio. So a little bit about the project and where we're at in terms of approvals and so forth. So the approval process for the project has been comprehensive, transparent and inclusive, providing the community with confidence that the project's been properly evaluated using the best available science. It's in the public interest and is capable of development without harm to our water resources or the environment. So as shown on the presentation on your screens, the Narrabri Gas Project received both state and federal government approvals throughout 2020 through the New South Wales Independent Planning Commission and through the Federal Environment through the Minister of Federal Environment. So from the approvals, there are a number of conditions which must be met before we commence with phase 1 of the project. Just to touch on that, and we'll cover it in a little bit more detail as we progress, but it's a 12 to 18 month appraisal program. And just in relation to the line there about addressing conditions of consent, including formation of committees and management plans. So we actually have kicked off those activities now, and over the last couple of days have had meetings with a couple of those committees. So as the economy recovers from COVID-19, game-changing projects like Narrabri are critical to creating jobs, driving investment and turbocharging regional development and delivering more affordable, secure and cleaner energy supply for New South Wales customers. In relation to the Narrabri Gas Project, just a bit of an overview of what was actually approved through those processes. So the approval was to develop up to 850 wells and associated infrastructure located in approximately 1% of the 95,000 hectare project area over the 25-year life, and has the potential to supply enough gas to meet up to half of New South Wales' natural gas demand. It's important to understand from our project, from the Narrabri Gas Project, that Santos is committed to make 100% of the gas available to the domestic market while creating up to 1,300 jobs through the construction phase and up to 200 local direct and indirect jobs during the operational phase. It will generate up to $1.2 billion in royalties to the state and includes the establishment of a $120 million community benefit fund and a $14.5 million voluntary planning agreement with the Narrabri Shire Council. So this last point for us as a business, we aim to make a meaningful, positive, long-term contribution to the communities in which we operate across the entire country. So that includes local employment, training and business opportunities, as well as investing in infrastructure and community initiatives. I'll touch base on the project timelines in a little bit more detail shortly, but some of the major infrastructure associated with the project includes the wells and gathering systems, gas dehydration and compression facilities, and water storage and treatment infrastructure, all of which will be developed in line with our disciplined low-cost operating model, which ensures projects are resilient throughout the commodity price cycle. Just on the right there, you can see the image of the Narrabri Gas Project area and the key locations of some of our major infrastructure, some of which is already in place, with Santos currently operating a power station in the Narrabri region, which puts about 22 megawatts of power into the grid through our appraisal operations and supplies in the order of about 32,000 homes through the northwest region with power. So just in relation to the project and indicative timeline, so early activities recently got underway to work over existing wells associated with our existing appraisal wells. The next step for us is to progress a 12 to 18 month appraisal program, which will require the investment of in the order of $120 million throughout that appraisal phase. So as I mentioned previously, projects like Narrabri are critical in creating jobs, driving investment and delivering more competitive energy prices to the state. So during that initial appraisal program, we'll explore and seek direct engagement from our local and regional based businesses where scope and capability allows, and ensure any of our primary contractors that are engaged down the track also maximise our local and Indigenous participation where those direct contracting opportunities just aren't available. So we as a business are focused on developing that local capability to support this project, not just during the appraisal and development phase, but throughout the entire life cycle of the Narrabri Gas Project. So as outlined on the slide just on the right there, our initial activity for the appraisal program consists of drilling completions for the appraisal wells and core holes, developing the well pads, access track through the civil works, installation of the gas and water gathering systems, and then you're getting into the wellhead equipment such as wellhead skids and power generation. In ready for the development phase, noting that we're currently expecting a final investment decision around the first half of 2023. We're already in discussions with ICN New South Wales with the intent to publish a list of indicative sourcing packages. And I can tell you now that has just been submitted and should be up on the ICN New South Wales gateway in the next couple of days. So the sooner we get that information up and get that in the hands of all the contractors and allow them to identify opportunities, it allows maximum time possible for business to consider potential capacity shortfalls and pursue opportunities to close those gaps and enable a targeted expressions of interests well ahead of that final investment decision and the tendering processes. So just in relation to our commitments as a business, so as outlined, we have a local industry, community Indigenous participation policy, which outlines basically how we maximise our local content and ensure that the benefits of projects like the Narrabri Gas Project are realised locally. So some of the key commitments there include actively working to increase the benefit of development activity for local and traditional owners throughout the supply chain, supporting the local and Indigenous businesses by taking into account the social value when evaluating contract proposals and the tendering process. Encouraging all tenders to maximise that local content in both labour and materials, while ensuring comparative tenders are commercially competitive and technically acceptable. And then looking to develop procurement strategies that take into consideration the local and Indigenous capability. And I can say that those strategies are well underway. As I mentioned, the ICN gateway will go live very shortly. So our team there is in a really good position to start ensuring that we can maximise that local and Indigenous content. So just on this front, so we have a very strong proven track record in this space already, with 90% of our current annual procurement spend being made within Australia. All right, so as I mentioned, Santos, we're about to go live with our ICN gateway for the Narrabri Gas Project, with the intent to publish a list of indicative sourcing packages to allow the maximum time possible for businesses to consider potential capability shortfalls and pursue opportunities to close the gap in the current capability and enable those targeted expressions of interest. So it's important for businesses of all shapes and sizes to understand their fit in the supply chain for a project, whether it's the Narrabri Gas Project or any other, but it's really important to understand their fit in the supply chain based on a number of factors, including your business capability, experience, things like your systems and processes, ensuring that they're in place and up to the standard that is required to support a project such as the Narrabri Gas Project. And also just to understand how our procurement and contracting system works. So just on the image on the left there, our tendering and the level of engagement associated with that is directly linked to the value and risk of each activity across our project, and the criteria for evaluating those goods and services will vary depending on the scope of that activity. It's also important to understand that the requirements for a contractor in the oil and gas industry may be very different to those in other industries, such as the agricultural sector or any other, and that not all businesses will be a Tier 1 contractor, but there is going to be subcontracting opportunities throughout the project. So I'll touch on that in a second. So in terms of businesses understanding their fit within the supply chain, we really are looking at items like your business capability, experience, systems and processes and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, not everyone can be a Tier 1 contractor, but there are great opportunities outside of direct contracts with Santos and with those that do win future tendering activities. This means that we're always going to be encouraging businesses, and we've done it here in Narrabri a number of times now, and will as the project progresses, where we hold contracting forums to try and link businesses together, help develop networks, and make yourselves known across the industry to ensure you're making the most of all opportunities as they're presented. So just in terms of a couple examples, so on the screen it talks to a steel fabricator or equipment hire company, but it could also apply to a small civils company or any other sort of business. So while you may not have suitable capability for the supply and construction of a gas processing facility, for example, there absolutely will be a fit for you within the project. If it's not directly with Santos, it'll be through the primary contractor who is eventually awarded that overall supply and execution contract for that scope of work. In relation to that tendering process, we'll be ensuring that any tender awards that do take place are suitably announced, so it gives businesses an opportunity to look up those subcontracting opportunities and pass on contact details for all those that have registered interest in the project. So we'll be, as we make awarding those tenders, we'll put notifications out through our monthly newsletters and up on our website, back through the ICN gateway and so forth, to ensure that we can put people in contact with each other to get to maximise local content and Indigenous participation, but get the right skill set on the job at the time. So just reinforce, local content for us and that Indigenous engagement, absolutely essential as this project is going to be progressing and will be at the forefront of all contracting opportunities for the Narrabri Gas Project. So just to conclude, there's a few points I really want to focus on here. So as a project, so the Narrabri Gas Project, a lot of people focus on the initial construction and so forth. So for us, this is a long-term sustainable development with 3 phases to our approach. So the first being a 12 to 18 month appraisal program, which I touched on earlier, where we'll be finalising the evaluation of the subsurface, which will then move into finalising the plans for the development. So we then follow into a development or construction phase, which is guided, as I said, by the results of that final section of appraisal that we need to complete. There is also then a post-construction phase, operational phase, which will go for in the order of 20 plus years. And not everyone is going to be focused on winning the major works for construction. There is that opportunity throughout the life of the project. I know in Queensland currently we spend in the order of almost $1 billion in continual development throughout the project. So we don't want to set any unrealistic expectations, and businesses need to target their strengths and address their weaknesses throughout the entire life cycle of the project, and that is for the full 25 years. There will be opportunities throughout the entire supply chain, not just directly with Santos. So please consider your capability, your capacity, and what opportunities there are for your business in particular, and how to best position yourself for those tendering opportunities well into the future. There's also avenues for everyone that you can explore to ensure your business is ready, such as the enterprise program. And I know already through our existing contractor forums, we've started receiving a lot of business capability statements through registering their expressions of interest, and the team here in Narrabri is able to provide feedback on those capability statements and so forth to ensure you're in the best position possible come that tendering process. So on that, please make yourselves visible for Santos. There is a wide variety of interest in the project following the approvals that we've recently been through. But you can register your interest via the Santos supplier portal on our website. So you can see that on your screen there. So that's at santos.com/procurement, and send an email through to the Narrabri community team here, and they'll certainly, if you have any questions in relation to the project, the phasing, or even some guidance on your capability statements and so forth, they will certainly be able to assist you with that. We have a shop front here in Narrabri, which is manned during work hours, so around the clock. And certainly they're more than happy to come in and speak to anyone and provide some guidance on the future of the project and what they may look like. And as I touched on, the ICN gateway will be available very soon. But if you register your interest through the Santos website, we'll make sure the details for that gateway are sent through to all that have expressed an interest in the project. So at that point, I'd just like to thank everyone for their time today, and thank you very much for the team, for Nicola and the team for arranging the event. And at this stage, I'd like to welcome any questions that anyone may have.
You talked a lot about being visible for Santos, and we've touched on in some of our earlier speaker presentations today that some of our players in the supply chain, as you say, do not have the capability of being a principal contractor or a tier one contractor to some of the major projects. And you did speak to the fact that Santos is very much supportive in that environment where you assist the supply chain in creating joint venture opportunities in order to enhance each other's capabilities and engage in a higher tier level of contract activity. How would our audience actually engage in those facilitated processes to try and link with other key partners to take on larger opportunities?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nicola, and it's one that we have an enormous focus, not just with the Narrabri Gas Project, but across all our operations, across all our assets. So, in terms of opportunities within the supply chain, look, you can't deliver a significant project like the Narrabri Gas Project without, maximising the capability across all of your suppliers, contractors, whoever that may be. So, for us, it's about getting the best result for the project and ensuring that those people with the best capabilities are engaged to deliver that. So, part of that will be initially just registering the interest through our supplier portal and then also through the ICN gateway. I'm hoping that it will be actually up at the end of this session, but we'll see how we go there. But essentially, if you start registering your interest now, you get you get in contact with us and make yourself known to Santos. But secondly, you're actually registering your interest that gets contact details and those capability statements through to us, so that as we progress those tendering opportunities and award contracts, the first thing we'll be doing with any of those contracts is supplying everyone that has registered an interest, and in particular those local and Indigenous opportunities, businesses. So we'll be supplying that list through to whoever that contractor may be, and ensuring that we're maximising those opportunities for the benefit of the project.
Wonderful. And there's some incredible opportunities coming up in the next 12 months, 18 months and beyond. So, and having a look at our audience, I'm sure that there's going to be some key new partnerships in the mix for the future growth of the project opportunities.
Yeah, it's certainly the team here in Narrabri is really excited, and the community, since the approvals have come through, the community is you can get a sense of excitement around the town. We recently had a Santos Festival of Rugby where we were lucky enough to get the Reds and Waratahs to play a pre-season match in front of the local community. So it's trying to give those opportunities back to our local community that have welcomed us so warmly.
Oh, absolutely. And being a regional, predominantly farming background community, it would be very exciting to have all of the infrastructure and the opportunity coming into that regional area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you centralising any of the design phase or engineering out of local region there, like maybe in your head offices in Brisbane or?
Yeah, again, great question. So, as a business, so Santos has the onshore centre of excellence is based out of our Brisbane office, and that's about maximising our learnings, both from our Queensland and Cooper Basin operations, and ensuring we're trying to minimise that learning curve for not just the Narrabri Gas Project, but all future projects. And similarly, we have the offshore centre of excellence based out of Western Australia, and then the corporate support out of our Adelaide office. So a lot of the support through the engineering, etc., will be through our Brisbane Centre of Excellence, through the team there. But in saying that, we already have a really strong presence here in Narrabri. So we're employing in the order of 18 odd people here in Narrabri that live and work here locally. I think there's only a couple of us that weren't actually born and bred in the region, go to high school, etc. So that's trying to develop that local capability here on the ground is extremely important for us and the future success of the project.
Absolutely. And you do see, historically, we used to see a lot of major projects come through regional areas, and they would bring the whole infrastructure with them and not necessarily engage with the local skilled service providers. So it's really refreshing to see that the approach for greater industry has changed, and Santos, of course, is a champion of that. Thank you so much, Todd. Really enjoyed your presentation today.
No, thank you very much for having me, Nicola.